Trendsetter. Jello beats. Look, I be riding through my old hood, but I'm in my new whip. Same old attitude, but I'm on that new shit. They say they gon' ride me, see me never do shit, cause they know that's the reason they gon' end up on the news.
Hey man, it's your boy Dez and reacting to how good was Pistol Pete Maravich actually. Now this is good for both of us because we only know our era. This is a different era. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment down below more NBA suggestions. We're going to find out how good he was, actually.
Maravich, better known as Pistol Pete, was one of the best NBA players of the 70s, a dribbling magician.
One of the best NBA players of the 70s. This is a way different era. I feel like we should rank differently from each era. So, all the way from the 90s, we should rank them, who's the best in the 90s, and all the way up to the 2000s, who's the best in the 2000s. That's how we should do it.
Outstanding shooter, and arguably the greatest NCAA player ever. Pete was playing a brand of basketball 40 years ahead of his time. Players today can't even do some of the stuff the Pistol did in the 70s. Here's the career retrospective of Pete Maravich, and how his showmanship influenced future NBA stars, who stole a lot of their moves from the Pistol.
Who would y'all compare him
Early
to
life
in NBA
and the origin of the
right
Pistol.
Now?
Pete Maravich was born in 1947, and basketball was in his blood. His father, Press, was a professional player for 2 years in the NBL and BAA, two leagues that merged and became the NBA.
He was playing in 1947. He was playing before basketball was even a thing. That's how old he is.
1949. Press then started coaching, and because of his job, the Maravich family had to move a lot. The only constant for Press and his son Pete was basketball.
That's usually how it starts. If basketball runs in a family, then you're 100 times out of 10 going to play basketball.
Which was a dish served for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. While Pete was only an infant, he already started dribbling, and by the age of 7, he started playing organized basketball. When Press Maravich coached at Clemson University, he would always bring Pete to practices and games, and the two would always talk about basketball in some shape or form. Pete would dribble the basketball on his way to school, while he rode on a bike, and even slept with the ball. At the age of 12, he was practicing up to 10 hours a day. His father taught him the fundamentals, but Pete loved basketball so much that he started improvising, and countless hours in the gym all alone gave birth to some of the most spectacular moves the NBA has ever seen. But more on that later. As a freshman, Pete started playing for Daniels High School in Clemson at the age of 14. But he barely played on a team. He started playing for Daniels High School in Clemson at the age of 14.
He played for a high school at the age of 14. Pete Maravich might actually be good.
But he barely played on a team filled with seniors. And even when Pete would come into the game, the older guys avoided passing him the ball. The crowd also laughed when they saw the small, skinny 14-year-old on the floor, which pissed the hell out of Pete. However, one single shot changed everything. Pete's team was down by 1 in the last seconds. Because he hardly ever had the ball, the opponents never guarded Maravich. So the Daniels coach decided to pass the ball to Pete. He got the open shot and made the game winner, and it was then that he received the nickname Pistol Pete. It was given to him by a reporter who noticed that when Pete shot towards the basket, it looked like he was pulling out a gun. The nickname remains, and the legend of the Pistol Pete was born. NCAA GOAT. After graduating from high school, the legend of the Pistol Pete was born. And he was pulling out a gun. The nickname...
So his jump shot looked like he was pulling out a gun. That's why he got the nickname Pistol Pete. That's a hard nickname.
Remains, and the legend of the Pistol Pete was born. NCAA GOAT. After graduating from high school, Pete and his father decided that Pete should go to prep school for another year. Pete was 6'3" at the time, but he weighed just over 130 pounds and could not withstand physical duels at the college level. So, he spent a year at the Edwards Military Academy, where he grew to 6'5" and bulked up to a respectable 160 pounds, which improved his game tremendously. At the same time, his father Press got the head coaching job at Louisiana State, which was known for football, but had a minuscule basketball program. Press asked Pete to attend LSU and join him, which Pete bluntly rejected because he wanted to play for a renowned basketball college. However, after Press threatened to kick him out of the house, Press decided to join his father at LSU. Under his father's tutelage, Pete became a superstar and would set records that will likely...
No way he got forced by his parents to join a college basketball team he wanted him to join so he can coach him. That's tough.
Never get broken. In his freshman year, he averaged 43.6 points per game, but because of the rules in the 70s, freshmen were not allowed to play on the varsity team. The crowd at LSU would often watch the freshman games and then leave once Pete's game was done, and wasn't even interested in watching the varsity team. Pete led the freshmen to a...
See, this is why personally Stephen Curry is my favorite basketball player of all time. You see how it's not even a three-point line? As soon as that joined the NBA, That's when he revolutionized basketball. Now everybody wants to shoot
17-1
threes.
record that season, while the varsity team, led by Press, had a record of 3-23. In his sophomore year, Pete was able to play for the varsity team and immediately asserted himself as the primary option on offense, with 43.8 points on average. He was the NCAA's top scorer that season, and he repeated that feat as a junior with 44.2 points, and as a senior with 44.5 points per game, along with 2 National College Player of the Year awards. In the 3 years he spent on the varsity
But the competition at college is not that hard compared to the NBA, if we're being honest.
team, Pistol Pete scored 3,667 points in 83 games, averaging an incredible 44.2 points per game. He owns almost every NCAA scoring
NBA is
record
like
to this
1%.
day, and what's even more impressive is that he broke all those records in the era without the three-point shot.
Isn't
Former
it crazy how impressive that is, though? It's only like 3,000 players who played in the NBA ever, and it's only 1% of the whole world.
LSU coach Dale Brown charted every shot Maravich scored, and because he shot many jumpers from long distances, Brown calculated that Pete would have averaged an astounding 57 points per game if his long jumpers counted as threes. A globetrotter in the NBA, Pistol Pete was the most known player in the country by the time he finished college, and he had plenty of options where to continue his career. He was contacted by half the ABA teams, many NBA teams, but also the Harlem Globetrotters, who offered Maravich $1 million to join them. Maravich
Harlem
dribbled the ball
Globetrotters.
like a globetrotter. He shot the
I've
ball
seen
better
him
than all
before.
of them, and he knew every basketball trick in the book. Between the legs, behind the back, dribbling 2 balls at the same
original
time,
was
you
Will
name it,
Chamberlain
Pistol
now.
Pete was doing it. If he had joined the Globetrotters, he would have been the first white member, but he'd fit right in because of a unique skill set. However,
He's like another Larry Bird then. He would have been the first white member to join the Harlem Globetrotters.
his dream was to play in the NBA like his dad, and the pistol was selected with the 3rd pick by the Atlanta Hawks in the stacked 1970 NBA draft. In the rookie season, Maravich
the
was under
1970
tremendous
draft? I
pressure
gotta
after
figure that
signing a
out.
contract worth nearly $2 million for 5 seasons. At the time, the largest contract in NBA history. However, he immediately proved that he is one of the best players in the world and that his big contract is justified. Maravich averaged 23.2 points and 4.4 assists
in the
per
NBA?
game as a rookie, which was the
4.4
8th best
assists.
scoring output that season. The second season was supposed to confirm Pistol's superstar status, but he contracted mononucleosis, which caused him to lose 20 pounds. As a result,
Mononucleosis. So he contracted a disease that stopped him from actually progressing.
Pete missed 16 games.
It's always the
The illness
what ifs.
slowed him down to 19.3
Lynn
points per
bias.
game. But Pistol Pete would bounce back in his 3rd season, averaging 26 points and 7 assists per game, making his first All-Star team. And his 4th and final season with
By the way, a lot of people don't know that Lynn Bias was better than Michael Jordan in college. He also played on the Maryland college team.
the Hawks, Pete was the 2nd best scorer in the league with 27.7 points per game. But the Hawks played miserably and didn't even make the playoffs after 3 straight first-round playoff exits. We got the Jazz. New Orleans Jazz joined the NBA in 1974, and in the expansion draft, they acquired Maravich from the Hawks for 2 players and 4 draft picks. By doing so, they signed the local hero, considering that the Jazz Arena was less
That's a tough nickname. If somebody's called a local hero, whoo.
100 miles away from LSU. Joining a newly established franchise is a double-edged sword, and Pete learned that the hard way. Yes, he was a beloved superstar, and all the fans wanted to see him play. But on the flip side, the New Orleans Jazz wasn't any good. Just like most new teams
Yeah, the Jazz
are.
wasn't
The Jazz
good.
didn't make the playoffs until 1984, 5 seasons after Maravich left the team and their relocation to Utah. But even though he never made the playoffs, Pistol Pete was playing the basketball of his life with the Jazz as one of the most unstoppable players in the league. He averaged 25.2
That's
points.
when in the early 2000s, superstar teams became a thing where 3 good players would join a team together to actually be good.
And 5.6 assists in 5.5 seasons with the franchise, during which he led the NBA in scoring with 31 points per game in 1977, along with 3 All-Star appearances and 3 All-NBA nods. On February 5th, 1977, in a game against the New York Knicks, the Pistol scored 68 points, a
68
career high,
points
and at the
against the
time,
New York
the
Knicks.
most points
Who was
ever
on that
by a
team?
guard.
Plummer
The feat is even
Jackson?
more impressive when we know that he was guarded by Walt Frazier, one of the
Walt
premier
Frazier? Oh man, he's making them look bad. then.
defensive guards of the 70s, and that he scored 68 without a three-pointer. In 1978,
68
Maravich
points
played
without
the
a
best
three-pointer. You
all-around
heard that?
season of his career, averaging 27 points, 6.7 assists, and a career-high 2 steals per game. He would have probably led the league in scoring once again, and likely even pushed the Jazz to the
He's
playoffs.
gotta be a big
but
what
he
if.
unfortunately injured his knee halfway
He injured his knee now. So not only he contracted a disease, but he injured his knee.
through the season and was forced to miss the final 32 games of the season. Before he got hurt, the Jazz had a winning record due to a 10-game win streak. After Maravich went down, they lost 8 in a row, and their playoff hopes were shot dead. Unfortunately for Maravich and the Jazz
Did he
fans,
ever
knee
get into
injuries
the playoffs?
plagued Pete for the rest of his career, as he only played 2 more years in the NBA. After the Jazz moved to Salt Lake City in 1979, they traded Maravich mid-season to the Celtics, where he teamed up with rookie Larry Bird. It was the first NBA season with a 3
Pete Maravich and Larry Bird seemed like a deadly duo combination.
point line, and Maravich immediately proved what kind of a shooter he was. The Pistol shot 67% for 3 in his final year, with bad knees that severely hampered his movement. Legacy. Pistol Pete was a basketball savant, and he played basketball 30 or 40 years ahead of
Did he
his
get
time.
inducted
At
into
the
the
time
Hall
of
of
his
Fame?
retirement, he had by far the best handles in NBA history, and many of the greatest ball
I can be the judge to that. The best handles in NBA history is Allen Iverson or Kyrie Irving. Thank you
handlers
very
took
much.
many pages out of Pete's ball handling book. He was a trendsetter that inspired generations. And if your favorite ball handler didn't learn from the Pistol, they likely stole some moves from someone who stole from Pete. That LaMelo Ball underhand full court pass, Maravich did that in the 70s. Magic Johnson's around the back defender freeze and then pass, Maravich did that
See,
too.
this is why Magic
Hook shot
Johnson's
like
not better than
Kareem.
Stephen Curry. He stole Pete Maravich whole pass?
Turnaround jumper like MJ, or readjusting his jump shot midair like Larry Bird. It was all routinely done by the Pistol.
No
When he
way.
and then pass, Maravich did that too. Hook shot like Kareem, turnaround jumper like MJ,
Turnaround jumper like Michael Jordan was learned from Pete Maravich?
or
That's
readjusting
some
his
news I
jump
never
shot
heard.
midair like Larry Bird. It was all routinely done by the Pistol. When he played the game, the NBA was dominated by centers like Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem, and guards like him were unicorns. Other than Jerry West, nobody else attempted that many jump shots, let alone made them with great accuracy. With an unbelievable floater and layup game, finishing with both hands, killer handles, and the ability to both score and pass, Pistol Pete is most often compared to Steve Nash, a guy who came to the NBA
here's my
16
answer. He's
years
compared to
after
Steve
Maravich
Nash. Steve
retired.
Nash is
If
a
he
legend.
played in a three-point era, he would likely average around 30 points per game. And
If he was in the three-point era, he would have averaged 30 points per game. Do you know how impressive that is?
played in a better team, he could have easily been an MVP multiple times and won a few championships. However, Pete didn't have the best of luck in his career and
he was on a
life.
better
In
team.
one
He
interview
sounded
in
pretty good.
1974, Pete said, "I don't want to play in the NBA for 10 years and then die of a heart attack at 40, but unfortunately, that's precisely what happened." His NBA career was cut short after 10 years due to knee injuries, and in 9 of 10 seasons, his teams had a losing record. And then
They
in
had to nerf him.
1988, almost like he
Literally.
predicted it, he died of a heart attack at the age of 40 when he was playing pickup basketball. An autopsy revealed the cause of death to be a rare heart defect.
He died at the age of 40?
He'd been born with a missing left coronary artery. He lived for basketball,
R.I.P.
was a gym rat all his life, and ultimately died on the court. His last words were, "I feel great."
How good was Pistol Pete Maravich? Actually, we figured that out. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment down below more NBA suggestions. Peace out.